Click. All right, we now turn to the perceived number one NFL draft pick, Trevor Lawrence. Lawrence did a cover story for Sports Illustrated this week, and of course, some of his comments have been seized upon to fill the time slots on the sports shows. Hey, that's what we're doing here, Drink. Lawrence said many things for his Sports Illustrated story, but the phrase most talked about surrounds him saying that he does not have a huge chip on his shoulder. All right, Drink, is there anything in this Sports Illustrated story that changes your opinion about Trevor Lawrence?
No, if anything, it's strengthening my opinion about Trevor Lawrence. Why do I say that? He seems to be a guy that's come to grips to what he is, what he does, who he is, how he's perceived, and the environment around him. What do I mean by that? If he had came in, like, first of all, this is why it's a problem for athletes or public figures to be honest. He was being honest. But what Sports Illustrated wanted, evidently, was the status quo answer. Yeah, I got a chip on my shoulder. I want to be the greatest to ever play. Want all the, copy and paste bull boop that these people say. He didn't do that. He's like, all right, I don't have a chip on my shoulder. And instead of Sports Illustrated saying, I wonder why he feel that way. No, we go, oh my God, I can't believe he said it. Oh, whoa, this dude is disrespectful to the game of football. Oh.
He don't want to be great, you heard?
You know what I'm saying? He want to play this alpha male game and he don't want to be great. He want to grow his hair out and have his cool Ray-Bans on. We ain't got time for this. Who does this guy think he is? He think he's Trevor Lawrence. The same Trevor Lawrence that been the best thing sliced since 10th grade in high school. That's who he think he is. Listen, and from everything I hear, it's not like Trevor Lawrence came from a poverty-ridden like community. He seen his family is doing well for themselves. So even if he didn't play football, he'll be doing something else. He's very confident within himself, where he don't got to sit out here and make extra motivation for himself. He plays the game. He feel like he plays the game well. He feel like he plays the game as good as he can play the game. He don't need to prove anything else. He's been number one since he's been football his whole life. So I would like for somebody to explain to me, why in the hell would he have a chip on his shoulder? Is it a problem not to have one? Can you not live life without having a chip on your shoulder? Like, I don't understand why every player comes in got to be this ultra aggressive, I want to win, I'm hungry, foaming at the mouth. No, you know what I'm saying? What are we talking about here? He's fine. He's okay. He's cool. He's not Josh Rosen with a inflatable jacuzzi in his room and he's just getting ridiculous with it. He's not doing that. He's just saying, listen, I don't have a chip on my shoulder. Football is football, but it's not my everything. I have other stuff that I'm interested in. You know who else sounded like that and went number one overall just recently? Myles Garrett. You know what Myles Garrett said in his draft process? He was like, oh, it's cool, but I'm more into other stuff. He said that. He said football was not even his priority. He's just good at it. And look what he's good at it. Look what he's doing. He's wrecking havoc. Oh, man.
Bam.
Helmets, he might get a little off the rails, but listen, at the end of the day, when you actually think about it, that's what the NFL want, right? They want that type of craziness. They want, step into a Slim Jim. They want all that, right? But when a player comes with a cool level head and says, I ain't got no chip on my shoulder, I'm coming here and play my game. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to be the best Trevor Lawrence I could be. I'm going to be the best, me. Oh, he don't love the game good enough all week. Man, we might have to go with Justin Fields now. Because we don't love the game good enough, man. Hey, hold up. What that Zach Wilson? Let's interview Zach Wilson now because I ain't feeling this. And I think it's an overreaction. Once again, you said this perfect in the lead-in. We ain't got nothing else to talk about, so let's slap in Trevor Lawrence. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think I think it's more about, let's give us something to talk about. Let's nitpick. Let's just be what we are in today's society. We pick everything apart. We criticize everything. But at the end of the day, his comments were not disrespectful. They wasn't degrading. They were. I don't get the big uproar. He's allowed to feel how he feel. And if he don't got a chip on his shoulder, he don't need to have one. He don't have to have one. And quite frankly, why would he have one?
Yeah, probably couldn't say it better myself, but I'll attempt to. when I first, heard about a little bit of some of this, like, oh, Trevor Lawrence said something, did an article for Sports Illustrated, whatever. Well, what did he say? It had to have been something crazy. And then you actually take time to look through and like, I can't even find nothing. It was all that crazy. And I think I guess from my understanding, the comments that's getting the most dissection is the chip on your shoulder, and then that's got, oh well, are you really serious about the game of football? What does that speak about your preparation and all the rest of it? But I'm just a little bit curious. Ever since Trevor Lawrence burst on the scene and took over for Kelly Bryant in Clemson, since then there I don't think there's been much negative, if anything, that I've heard from Trevor Lawrence. It's been the opposite, and like Mel Kiper, he's been evaluating players for years coming out of college. Since 1979, Kiper's got Lawrence as the fourth best quarterback prospects. The only three better are two first ballot Hall of Famers, John Elway and Peyton Manning. And the other one, Andrew Luck, probably would have been a first ballot Hall of Famer if they had a competent GM at the time. So, when you're up at that level, and that's what everyone has been telling you for years, I don't. It'd be a little bit curious if he did have an underdog mentality. Is it, because some of that doesn't it get tiring? Because you've seen it when guys get drafted, outrageously high, and then you have everybody come up there, and they just out there in tears, like, yeah, nobody believed in us, and just all this. Nobody believed in you, huh? That's why you got drafted number one overhaul. Please, can we stop? That. So in some ways, like you say, and we say this, we said this many times. We expect athletes to, be open with the media, talk to us, and be, more engaging with the public. But sometimes we get upset with what they say because they don't give us the canned answers that kind of coincide with what you should say. So we can't demand one thing from the athletes and then be upset when they give it to us. I didn't have really any problem with anything he said. I think I thought a lot of things what he said was very mature. They come from a perspective to where you're actually taking into account some type of forward thinking mindset, because I think it's not the easiest thing to be of that age and be thinking long term, because you know nobody plays football forever, and in this day and age where we're concerned about player health and safety due to concussions and all the rest, we've seen guys retire at younger ages, many a time, whether it's Chris Borland, whether it's Luke Kuechly, and there's several other examples we can get into. I think that's one of the things Trevor Lawrence could be looking at. Like, and Andrew Luck, there's another example for you, a guy that walked away from the game early. So, understanding that and realizing there is more to life than football, whether it's faith, whether it's family, whether it's a second career, all different type of things we could be thinking of. I thought he had a very mature perspective on where he is and where he's going. And with everything he's been told, I don't see why he would have a different mindset and just manufacture, some type of narrative that he is the underdog. Not everybody can be Kobe Bryant or Michael Jordan and just make up, motivation out of everywhere. I think it amounts to about nothing. And I think, this type of year when we lead up to the draft, there's so many things that are said and happen and we can get into, but I always go back to, what did you do on the field? What did you do in that 60 minutes of game time? And we know there isn't much that we can critique that's negative, but I know nothing he said in this article changes my opinion about the guy. I do have questions. I've always been a little bit, I've always thought the hype is a little bit overblown, because I'm wondering what you're going to do when you get out of a football factory that Clemson is, and you go down to Jacksonville where you don't have Dabo Swinney, you don't have T. Higgins, you don't have Travis Etienne and all the rest of these guys. What do you do then? that's I think so. I think he does have something to prove, but I don't blame him for feeling the way he does. And oh, by the way, the whole thing about, if somebody else had said this, whether it's Justin Fields, well, he did. Well, number one, Trevor Lawrence didn't say anything ridiculous. I don't think anything he said. I think you're really reaching and stretching and misconstruing what he said. If you're talking about this, being a factor for does he love the game of football? Or does this speak to his preparation? So I think people, playing the little race games and all that, like Lewis Riddick did on ESPN. I think it's silly. I think it's just something we need to pump the brakes on and just stop making everything about race, because I don't think it's all that productive.